Welcome to Healing Powers TV. I'm the host, Laura Powers, and I want to welcome Naomi Horii back to our show. She has her company, Holding Light Productions, and does a lot of different healing and energy work all over the country. We had her before as a guest talking about energy, and so I asked her to come back to talk about manifesting. Because I think that's really important. And energy work is a good baseline, but then manifesting is really what you can do with it after you've done the personal work. So can you talk a little bit about manifesting and what it is?
Okay. Well, manifesting is a way that we make our desires physical in the world, and so basically making our dreams come true. And it's so important with the energy works and the shifts in the planet. Spirit and alignment with spirit is more and more important, and so thusly energy work is also very important as a way to make things happen. And it's funny because, like with my business, I really don't do much marketing, but a lot of the people that have found me, for example, to be in a documentary or to do sessions for them or things like that, you know, they might be in another country or another state or whatever, and I said, well, how did you find me? And they said, well, I don't know, your website just suddenly appeared on my screen, you know, and it's all about spirit bringing us together because, you know, we had a good match and I could help them. And
Absolutely, and actually when I first went to Naomi, I had known Naomi personally before and was looking for someone to do a reading, and it was exactly that kind of thing. I just did a search for someone in the area and you popped up, and it was funny because I'd already known you, but
yes.
It wasn't until I was looking for someone to go to and on some level manifesting that I even found out that you did readings.
Yes.
So that was an interesting side note. So what are some tools that you can use for manifesting?
Well, I'll teach you an exercise on how to manifest, and also just talk a little bit about manifesting, because I notice the more in alignment we are with our spirit, the more easily things happen. And sometimes when we're trying really hard, it's good to just stop and take a look within and say, well, what exactly is going on here? Sometimes I do matchmaking also, and then people say, oh, I really, really want to meet somebody, but then I'll notice patterns where they actually self-sabotage and do things that actually would ensure they don't develop a relationship, but it's not conscious. So kind of looking at things like that. I've noticed also times when I've really spent a lot of time meditating and cleaning out my energy and aligning myself, that things happen so magically. For example, I went to Brazil for a couple of weeks and we were just meditating the whole time. I was with two friends. We were on the plane. One of my friends said, I want to get off this plane right now, and I said, you take that back because I'm not getting in an airplane crash. And then she said, okay, I take that back. I want to get off the plane as soon as we land. So then the plane landed. We got off the plane, and then it was so funny because we realized we had actually gotten off the plane too early, and the plane had already taken off to the next stop, and we missed our flight to America back. So that was funny, but it was interesting because we like I had said, I want to go see the Jesus statue. A friend had said, I want to go see the beach, and then my third friend said, I really want to go see this jewelry store in Brazil. And it was funny because when we got waylaid, we did get to see the Jesus statue. A taxi driver who actually used to be a translator for the UN ended up being our guide and took us there, and he said, on the way back, let me just stop by this place. My friend owns a store, I'd really like to take you. So we got to see the jewelry store that my friend had wanted, which was just across the street from the beach. So we got to do all those things, and then on the way back I said, oh, I'm so in the mood for sushi, I really want to eat sushi. And then when we get back to the hotel, and we also ended up staying at a 5-star hotel, because one of my friends said, mock up a 5-star hotel, and then the airline gave us a waiver, and everywhere was closed except for that 5-star hotel. So we got to stay at the 5-star hotel, and then we went back for lunch, and there was this huge sushi buffet. So it was amazing, because not that it's all about materialistic things or anything like that, but I really noticed that the more in alignment we are with our spirit, the more easily and magically everything can happen.
Yeah, and one thing I learned is that it's really important to be specific. I think too often people think they want something and they just leave it as a really general statement, like I want a relationship, but they don't make any specific requests in terms of the type of person that they want a relationship with, and the details are really important because it's basically like putting your order out there into the universe.
Exactly. And I think another thing that's very important is also being open to how that can happen, because sometimes people mock up or like wish for or visualize, for example, having money to go to Hawaii. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. If you let the universe handle it, you don't need a penny. I ended up going to Hawaii 3 times. I mocked up going to Hawaii. I went twice for one of my clients, and then the 3rd time I went for $10 because of all the airline miles that I had racked up going. They sent me first class to Hawaii, so I had all these airline points, and then I ended up going the 3rd time for $10. So things can happen so magically, and you don't have to limit it with our worldly restrictions or limitations of, okay, I need to mock up this much money to get to Hawaii. If we're open, then so much can happen beyond our wildest dreams.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. In particular, in our society, we're really wrapped up on the money issue, and sure, sometimes you do need money to make things happen, but oftentimes there's so many other ways that something can happen.
Yes, yes. And I notice too, sometimes we get locked into what we think we should want, so we think, oh, I really should want this. For example, many of my clients come to me and for example, maybe they have one daughter and then they want to have a baby boy. But when you look at the mock-up, and it might not even necessarily be their mock-up, it might be their parents' perfect picture. Well, to have a perfect family, you need one boy and one girl or whatever, and so you look at the energy keeping them from having that, and you think, well, but that's not what you want. You know, so sometimes we have to take a look too and see, well, is that even what I want, and why do I think I want it in the first place? Because sometimes when we go within, we can go, like for example, if I want to buy a huge mansion, and then I think, wait, but I'm very environmentally conscious and I don't really, I need a huge mansion, you know, and then one, I don't like cleaning, and I don't really want to, you know, hire a big staff to take, you know, so if you really look at it and think, okay, what really is in alignment with our spirits for what we want today?
Right, and not to let those other things get in the way. So if you were to say get a big mansion, well, who's to say that you couldn't have someone help you clean it? You know, I see a lot of people doing that where they let other issues block their manifestation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and can you talk about some other things that people let get in the way of manifesting?
A lot of times it's limits that we were trained to have, and sort of perfection energy. If you look at how a child manifests, it's amazing. They can manifest incredible things, whether it's like, I'm going to make a sand castle, or I want an ice cream cone. And there have been children actually who have manifested cookies out of thin air, who have done all kinds of things. They've manifested little brothers. And you know, just, it's so amazing what they can do. And I think as children, we know innately that we have this amazing ability to manifest, but sometimes we get trained to think that's bad, that's egotistical, that's silly, or a lot of invalidation put on our creations or how we create. And then sometimes kids get to the point of, oh, why even bother? I'm just not even going to go there, or it's just painful or whatever. But I think when we can align ourselves with our spirits and then really capture that joy that we're manifesting from, that's when we have our most powerful creations. A lot of people believe that the 3rd chakra is all about manifesting in power, and it is related, but also the 4th chakra, our affinity for self and others, our capacity for love, is really what gives like the rocket fuel or whatever to manifest into the world.
Okay, fascinating. So now that we've talked a little bit more about things that get in your way and examples, can we talk about some of the tools?
Yes, yes. So one exercise that's really fun, I'm going to teach now, and you don't have to do it this way. Of course, there are many ways to manifest, but it's a great way when you're starting out to sort of consciously go through the steps. So one thing is to be specific about what you want, and yet give it energy and space to happen in a divine way. So that's so being specific about what you want, and then I always ask for help from the universe, and that really helps too. And so one exercise I do, I'll envision all the things that I want, or sometimes I do a visualization collage or a mock-up collage where it's really evident to me. I'll have pictures that represent different things. I'll put them on the collage and write words on it, and then I'll imagine putting an energetic bubble around what I want to create, and then I ground the energy, draining any of my energy or anybody else's energy, keeping me from having what I want. And it's funny because when you look, oftentimes it's mostly our energy that keeps us from what
conflicting desires or messages about what we should have, that sort of thing.
Or limits, or oh, I don't deserve this. So you know, so cleaning our own energy as well as anyone else's energy out from there, and then just grounding it to the center of the earth where that energy will be neutralized. And then I imagine, so I ask the Supreme Being to bless the mock-up and to return to me anything in that bubble or better. That's for my best and highest good. Yeah, because sometimes we may have limits, like just using a monetary example, since that's an easy, clear example, but say, okay, I want $20. While I'm at it, maybe I want $1 million. Maybe I want to start a foundation for kids, whatever, you know. So don't put any limits. So if you say you want $20, you can say $20 or more, or whatever it is that you want. And then I ask the Supreme Being to bless it and to bring it back to me if it's for my best and highest good. And then I imagine flattening the bubble, kind of like a frisbee, and just flinging it to the edge of the universe so it can come back to me if it's for my best and highest good. And the reason I do that is because it helps me be more conscious of letting go of the energy. Sometimes, for example, people who are very successful at casinos, and everyone's like, what is your secret? How did you win so many times? And they say they envision whatever it is that they want, a 6 and a 6, you know, and then they throw the dice, but as they're throwing it, they let go of the energy, and then so they're not trying to control it. They envision what they want, and then they let go of the energy. And it's kind of a similar thing. It's important for us to envision what we want, but then let go of the control or the energy so it can come back to us. Because if we're constantly trying to control it, actually